Hello everyone. My name is Elise. I hope you're all doing so good today. We are here with the second installment of my Sherlock Holmes series. I'm trying to read all of the Sherlock Holmes books in 2023, and we are on to number 2. So the second one to come out in publication order is The Sign of Four. This is a novel, the second of the novels. This one came out in 1890, so 3 years, I think, after the first novel came out. It is also a little slim thing, so I think it's just around 150 pages, similarly to the first one as well. The first two are the shortest by far, so they'll get longer from here on out. And I have already started reading this, but I'm not going to get into those thoughts yet today. Right now, I'm basically just going to give you an introduction to the book as a whole. And then once I make it halfway through the book, I'm only about a third of the way so far, I'll do my first check-in. The synopsis of this book is the introduction of Mary. So Mary Morstan, who, if you know anything about the Sherlock kind of oeuvre in general, or if you've seen any of the adaptations, is Dr. Watson's love interest. That's not a spoiler, I don't think. I think, if you've seen anything, you know that. So she enters the chat in this novel. So she comes with a case for Sherlock. The case is around the disappearance of her father, who she never really had a lot of contact with. He was in the military and she was raised in a boarding house for most of her life. But he had sent her a letter 10 years ago to say that he was finally going to be on leave for 12 months and wanted to have a relationship with her. So she prepares to meet him and then he vanishes. And 10 years later, there's been some intriguing clues that have popped up along the way that she then brings to Sherlock to try and figure out what's going on. That's the premise of this. This novel, it also says in the synopsis, gets into a little bit of the darker themes that can come up in the Sherlock Holmes novels, aka the substance abuse issues. So that is present in this book as well. Again, that's in the synopsis, so it's not a spoiler. But yeah, so we'll see how that is handled, and I'll give you a little bit of an update on that once I do my first check-in with you. So typically I would start these out by reading the very beginning of the chapter. This one immediately starts out with substance use. I'm making the decision to not read that out loud because it is very jarring to initially start off with, and it is very visual. So I'm not going to read it out loud, but just know that's how this starts out. So definitely starts out a little bit darker. And yeah, like I said, I'll check in once I have read half of the book. I will say you're in for a little treat because I had previously recorded some footage of my dog and some of my friends' dogs wearing some Sherlock Holmes gear, and I thought I had lost that footage. It was supposed to be in the first Sherlock Holmes vlog. I thought I lost the footage, but I have found it. So I'm gonna go ahead and insert that here. So you'll get to see my own dog and her 3 dogs. One is a St. Bernard puppy, so cute, wearing a little Sherlock Holmes getup. So you'll see that B-roll footage, and then I will see you when you're all done. So enjoy. Hello. We are back to do my halfway point check-in on The Sign of Four. So you can see I'm exactly halfway. I think I'm exactly to the page halfway. And I'm very intrigued so far. So we have gotten all of the initial setup for the murder. We've seen the body. We're investigating clues. We're cluing the clues. Sherlock is doing his thing. I mentioned earlier in the synopsis that this is where kind of like enter Mary Marston, and she starts her little romance with Dr. Watson, which is like so precious. I like definitely for this time, it's like, oh, they had like a glance, or he had warmth in his eyes and stuff like that. They hold hands at one point when they're scared, and they like take that as a sign like later on when they're reflecting of like, oh, that was how we knew. It was like our natural inclination to reach for one another. So yeah, it's like very sweet and precious, but I'm down to clown with that, honestly. Like I'm vibing with it. I'm okay with it. So yeah, enjoying that part. I do think that this murder is really interesting. I think this one is more interesting than A Study in Scarlet, for me at least. So I briefly talked about how Mary shows up because her father went missing 10 years ago, and she had recently gotten this mysterious letter that said that they wanted to meet her. She was allowed to bring friends if she wanted, but they just couldn't be the police. And that's coupled with the fact that over the years, she has received some parcels in the mail from an unknown entity that have contained these really beautiful pearls. And she's assuming that the same person that has been sending her the pearls is the person that wants to meet. So she goes to Sherlock and Watson. She goes to Sherlock and Watson's just there, but to see if he will join her when she meets whoever this is. So that's how he gets roped in. They go and meet this man who says that he is the son of someone who used to know Mary's father, and they were very close. They were both in the military together, and his father had a treasure of sorts that he had hidden somewhere on his property, and him and his twin brother both inherited the property but have been unable to find the treasure up until now. So they've recently found the treasure. They know that Mary was wronged by their father in some way, so they have been the ones sending the pearls, and they want to share the treasure with her. So they travel to the manor where the treasure is hidden, and upon arrival, discover that the twin has died and been murdered. So hence starts the investigation. It's very interesting and atmospheric. They sort of find him with this like twisted grin on his face when he has died. So that's really fascinating. It's like very ghostly. And of course, like everyone's in a tizzy from seeing someone like that. So yeah, I'm very intrigued. The clues are very interesting. It looks like there's multiple suspects at this point. So I'm curious to see, like, I'm similarly with the last one, I can't believe that we're halfway there and so much has already happened. I'm like, how could there be that much left? So we'll see what the last half of the book is going to be. But yeah, I'm hoping there'll be some twists and turns along the way, whereas the last book, it sort of just totally shifted perspectives. I don't want that. I was not a fan of that. So yeah, I'm hoping this just means we're going to get a lot of twists and turns. I will check back in with you once I have finished this book. I'm not sure what all I'm going to get up to next. So not sure what you're going to see. I majorly effed up my back. I don't need to hold this up for this. So I majorly effed up my back last week in yoga, and I went slightly too hard, I guess. I will say the guy next to me was so close to me. And you know, like it's a yoga place where like it has the delineation for the mats of like how far apart you should be spaced. He was well over his line, well over his parking space, so close to me. And he was out there trying to do like some Cirque du Soleil level shit, like all up in my grill. So I think I was like trying to like stay out of his way because he was like doing like freaking headstands, and like I was worried he's gonna fall on me, and his butt was right in my face. So I was trying to get out of the way, and I think I like did something weird. All that to say, I'm going to go sauna right now to try and see if that'll help loosen my back up a little. But I'm gonna take this with me because I'm going to a dry sauna. So it's totally dry in there. There's no moisture. So I'm gonna read this while I'm just sitting in the sauna because there's nothing else to do. Yeah, I might show you a little bit of footage for that if that's not weird. We'll see when I get there. But yeah, so gonna read this a little bit more there. Not sure what else I'll get up to, but I'm sure you will see what happens. So I'll see you when I've finished. Bye. Hello again. We have finished The Sign of 4. So I'm here to kind of wrap it all up for you. I know you did see me get to go to the sauna, and I was in the Cabo room, hence all the Cabo art on the wall. I think that's the first time I've been in that room. The last time I had been in the Miami room, which has Miami art all over the wall. So there we go. But yeah. Let's go ahead and get into The Sign of 4. So I think last we spoke, I was sort of halfway. The murder itself was very intriguing. The clues were more interesting to piece together than A Study in Scarlet, for me at least. There is a boat chase at one point in this one, which was really fascinating. I thought that was like kind of hilarious that there was a boat chase instead of like a car chase. This one was definitely very adventurous. The last half of the novel, we did do a little bit of the thing that we did last time where we go to a different perspective, but this is like they catch the criminal and then Holmes does that thing where he's like, okay, tell me the whole story so I can make sure I got all the facts correct. And basically he always does get them correct, but you get like a lot of the backstory as to the motive of why they did it. So that definitely happens, but it's a smaller section. I think it's like 25 pages in here, whereas before it was like 75 pages. So I appreciated that it was shorter in this book. The lights just went out for a brief second. But yeah, I definitely enjoyed that shorter flashback into the motive and what originally happened that would make him want to kill this person. This one does have treasure in it. If I didn't say that before, there's sort of like hidden treasure. And I will say, so we get some resolution on Dr. Watson and Mary at the end. I won't say what it is, like I'm assuming you know what it is if you know anything about Sherlock Holmes. But yeah, you do get that at the very end and it's very sweet. What I will say about this is, you know, it's Sherlock Holmes. It's an old book, as are they all. So even in A Study in Scarlet, there were a couple instances of racism. It was like really short offhand comments in the last one that while still being very bad, were such a small part of the story. Like it wasn't a part of the story at all. Like they could be removed and nothing would change. Whereas this one definitely has more of it baked into the actual narrative. So that was really hard to have to sit through for a lot of the book. So just know that going in. For that reason alone, I'm like, maybe this might be one worth skipping. There are definitely comments getting made. There are characters that are there throughout the majority of the story that are really getting depicted in a very racist way. Didn't love that. It was really hard to kind of get around that. I think this one I would say is sort of just like middling. While the murder and the crime was better than the one before, the racism was very distracting. So I'm excited for the next one, which is going to be the first short story collection, which I have actually read before. So that will be a reread for me, and it's The Adventures of Sherlock Holmes. But yeah, this one was overall middling for the reasons I said before, but I'm still happy to be going on my Sherlock Holmes journey. So I will see you all in the next one. Bye.